Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. We're keeping it real today on Another View. Our guest is Dee Watkins, a college professor with a master's degree from Johns Hopkins University and a master's in fine arts and creative writing from the University of Baltimore. He's the founder of the Be More Writers Project. He's a columnist for Salon. He's been published in the New York Times, Guardian, and Rolling Stone. But before all of that, he was a drug dealer from my hometown of Baltimore. Meet author Dee Watkins and stay tuned for his story of love and redemption. It's all next on Another View, right after this news from NPR.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. We've got a lot going on today, but before we get started with, I thought we were going to go to the Weather Channel to find out about our latest thing. We are now under a tropical storm warning. So those of you who are in the area, make sure that you prepare for flooding rains and prepare for the possibility of a tropical storm that is headed our way. Make sure that you stay tuned to your favorite weather channel so that you can learn more about that. Also, want to tell you that we have set the date for our first race. Let's Talk About It Town Hall for this season. It will be Friday, October the 1st at Virginia Wesleyan College at the Boyd Dining Center. The topic is Standing Together in a Culture of Fear. Now, we do need to register. Everyone is welcome. It is free, but you do need to register. So please go to WHRO.org/talkaboutrace and register for the town hall, which will be October the 1st. That's a Saturday from 2 until 4:30 in the afternoon. Standing Together in a Culture of Fear is our topic. His latest book is called The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir, a raw and honest autobiography by author Dee Watkins. Actress and director Jada Pinkett Smith had this to say about the author and his latest book. Quote, Dee Watkins is beautifully unusual. Having lived the horrors within the heart of our inner city Baltimore firsthand and having acquired the heights of collegiate achievement, Dee Watkins is uniquely equipped to communicate our political and social challenges of urban America, not only through the lens of academia, but through empirical knowledge as well. He is the voice of the future, seamlessly blending the wisdom of the streets and intellectual prowess in a way I have never experienced before. I've had the pleasure of reading Dee Watkins' book, The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir. Dee Watkins, welcome to Another View. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing today? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. We are so excited about talking with you. And in our production meeting this morning, our producer and also our audio engineer had lots and lots of questions. So I'm going to get to those in just a moment.
I got lots of answers.
You got lots of answers for him. Absolutely. Well, I want to start our conversation by asking you a question that I have personally always wondered about. And that is, if drug dealers took their entrepreneurial, organizational, and enforcement skills and applied them to legal businesses, could they be successful?
In many cases, they would be better. You know, people think that a lot of people think that selling drugs is the easy way out, and it's not. You know, if you're running a company, you know, you have competitors and you have employees, and you know the consequences. You lose your job, or your company fails, or you know, you go bankrupt. In many cases, you get a chance to start over. You know, as we see. A lot of people in this country are calling Donald Trump one of the best businessmen in the world, and he's bankrupt and failed like dozens of times. But yet he's still being called great. Now, if Donald Trump was in the street, he wouldn't get dozens of times to fail. He would fail at one time, and then he would get a hole in his head.
Exactly. So there is a difference, because I was wondering what would be the mental difference, if you will, in terms of drug dealing as a business as opposed to what people call quote unquote legitimate business. Is there a difference in the mindset?
Yeah, because you have to be more mentally tough, because the consequence is death. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of similarities between the two. A lot of times, especially in my case, some of these skills were passed down to me by some of the older people in my family, mainly being my older brother and some of my uncles. It's older people in the neighborhood who I used to look up to. So I got skills and knowledge from all of them. And those same skills have made my experience in the publishing world way different and more easier than a lot of people who come from traditional backgrounds. I mean, I'm in grad school, and I had, when I was in grad school, I had an agent my first year. A lot of people who come from more traditional backgrounds were still scared to be rejected. I had a stack of rejections, and they were funny to me. And I listened to them, and I made some of the changes, and I just kept moving forward. So coming from that background where, a bad day can mean your life, and being in a room full of people where a bad day is somebody telling you that they don't like your art. That was just like a joke to me. So I had like a different mentality. Yeah. And I wouldn't have that mentality if I didn't come from the street.
Absolutely. So first of all, my condolences to you in the loss of your brother Bip. But tell us about Bip. Who was he to you, and how did he set a path for you that was so different from the path that was set for your other friends?
It's like they don't even make guys like him no more. He was that one of them smooth guys from the '90s that he didn't really talk too much. And when he opened his mouth, profound things came out. Wasn't really loud. It wasn't hungry for attention. It was always clean, to the point where I didn't understand how. Like, we would all be outside all day, but, his Nike's extra clean, his white T-shirt clean. Don't even know what he looks like without a haircut. So always a real clean, real smooth guy. And he wanted more from me and some of the younger dudes in the neighborhood. Like, he had an eye for that, even at a young age. He didn't make it past 21. And but he knew, like, the street life isn't really for you. It might be for him because he or she is begging to get into it. But he worked hard to keep a lot of us off the corners, and that's something that doesn't really get talked about either. It's a lot of people out there who are making those bad decisions who don't really have like the knowledge or the skill set to see past their community. But then some of those same people are the reason why a whole lot of kids never seen the streets, because they kept them out of them. And he was that guy too. Like, if he knew I did anything in the street, he would have rolled over in his grave a million times. And that was that was like the main reason why I didn't really feel right doing it.
Mm-hmm. So you brought up the whole idea of the people in the communities who help other kids not know the streets. I mean, talk a little bit about community, because I think that a lot of times mainstream media paints a picture of any inner city. I happen to be from Baltimore too. So, and the inner city of Baltimore, and you see, or you get a feeling that no one cares, and that, the kids are just running wild. But that's not really the case, is it?
No, it's a strong community. Like, community is the reason why I'm here. Like, something that it's a theme that comes up in my book, but it comes up in a lot of my other writings. So I'm a journalist. So I've written to a lot of different places, and just the power that Black women had is just keeping our communities together, making sure that a lot of us were doing the right thing. Whether it be through religion or education or whatever. Like, that community exists. There's also a strong social fabric that exists within the Black community that a lot of people don't really acknowledge, because it might be a housing project, or it might be a neighborhood that doesn't have a lot of homeowners due to other systemic reasons, which is a whole different conversation. Mm-hmm. But these communities exist, and it's the situation like, let me borrow $20 so I can get a tie for this job interview, or can you watch my kids so I can go to this work training program, and then maybe I'll do the same thing for you, or maybe I'll loan you some money to get through the end of the week, or maybe I can get your kids to ride to school because I'm the only one on the block with the car, and they go to to a school that's better than the one in the neighborhood, so the kids are carpooling to get there. Like, there's a community that exists that allows a lot of us to do more than survive, but to thrive even, and I think we don't shed enough light on that. That's why when I write these stories, or when I consult on these films and these projects, there's always an element of humanity that just has to be injected to the work that I do, or it's not, or it's not right to the people.
hmm So I want to take you back to the day that that Bip was murdered. You had just been accepted at Georgetown and a bunch of other universities, correct?
Yeah,
Around that time.
so I had to bunch it in for the book, but
hmm
that whole month, I wasn't really seeing him like that, and I was getting a lot of acceptance letters from a lot of different universities. So some of that hard work was starting to pay off, and Georgetown was a school that I always wanted to go to. I was always a big fan of the basketball team. I had visited the campus before. I thought it was beautiful. I was into the logo. Like I wanted to be a Hoya. Allen Iverson was my favorite basketball player at the time. I wanted to go to Georgetown.
And so after his murder, can you talk to us a little bit about what was going through your mind as you made the decision not to go to school, but to go in a whole different direction, and tell us about that direction that you chose?
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to kill myself because that was like there was people dying in East Baltimore. Which has had a history of high murder rate. So people were dying, and that wasn't really like the but it was the fact that it was him, and death felt new to me again. Like it was getting old to me. And for somebody, it was just unexpected because there wasn't any talk of static, and it wasn't like I have to be on point or you got to be careful and watch out because of things going on. It was, it felt random. Some say it was, some say it wasn't. There's a lot of stories out there, but I just felt like, I know for me, my world just stopped. My world stopped, and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to participate in anything. I didn't want to hang around anybody. I didn't want to do anything. And, I got some love and support from some of my friends and some of my other family members. They were like, yo, you should just recoup and keep moving forward, and you should try to go to school. And I was advised to not go to an HBCU. Some of the people that helped me, get the skills that I needed to actually get into college they was telling me, HBCUs don't reflect the real world, and which was false because I've been living in a segregated world since I was a little kid. So I didn't really meet white people until I actually went away to that college. And then when I left that college, I didn't meet white people again until I went back to college years later. So the world is kind of segregated. But they were telling me that I wouldn't get the skills I needed if I went to an HBCU with the skill set that I had. And I just, I found out that was false later on. But, I went to a school that was predominantly white, and it was culture shock for me. You from Baltimore City,
Yes.
so you already know. Everybody's black, except for police officers and a couple of teachers. Everybody's black, so I had no real understanding of white culture outside of what was on television shows like Married with Children and Al Bundy and all that. So, these were different types of white people. It's like they weren't rich white people and they weren't poor, but they were like middle class, stuck up, and they had no real understanding of black culture, and their whole social context taught them that I was some type of enemy before they even got a chance to know me. And my social context gave me nothing because I didn't know what they were, and I wasn't really in a position, or I didn't really put myself in a position to try to find out because I just wasn't into it.
So deciding to take over Bip's drug trade and so forth was more of a comfort zone for you from that sense?
I mean, it just felt like, my money was getting funny. I had no money coming in, and, I wasn't going back home. I've been on my own. Well, I've been with my brother for a while by that point. So, I was like, and then I was in the street. When you're in the street, sometimes when you're in the street, you take on that role of what people that's in the street do. And I knew I liked money, and I knew I liked nice things, and I knew I had an opportunity to be able to get some. So I just said, you know what?
But from reading the book, you never really bought into it, though. From the perspective of this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
No, I never thought I was going to buy into it. I never thought I was going to do it for the rest of my life. But when I got into it, I just felt like. When I got into it, I just felt like this is what I should be doing. This is where I feel like I'm at home. Like these are the people who I want to be around. This is what they do. I have a way I can do it a little better, and I'm gonna be a part of this. And then when I got into it, the ugliness that I already knew existed just magnified it, and it just became worse.
Mm. Mm. So one of the things I noticed that, there's a lot of thought that, okay, it's easy money. You can get all this cash, you can get what you want, you can buy all the material things. But you say the money caused problems in the relationships in your life. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so as far as the material things go, what you don't know, or what I'm not you, but what a lot of people don't know is that you get these things and they just become old quick. And it's all about what else. So it starts to feel empty. Like, what, another pair of sneakers, another piece of jewelry, another car, and it's everything before you get it. And when you get it, it's just like, So, I understand why multi-millionaires walk around with holy shoes. But what hurt, even, I didn't get it at first, but I get it now. But at first, this is the thing that hurt me even more. Something that I didn't realize is that a lot of those relationships that I cherished had just transformed into relationships that was based on money.
What can you do for me lately? What can you do for me lately? Or what have you done for me lately?
Money, it's like, it's not even about like, how you feel or what's going on or what's happening. It's just about, how we gonna make this money. If we not making money, we bumping heads. If we making money, we best friends. If we making money, the conversation's great. If the money's not there, the conversation's not really that great. It turns into a business relationship. It's like a lot of people develop friendships through business. I had friends that I went into business with. And once I went into business with those friends, that friendship went away, but that business didn't. And when the business started to go south, then it kind of controlled my relationships. Like it controlled my relationships, and it just made me feel like maybe these were never really relationships. Maybe we were just people who, out of circumstances, forced us together, and this is what it became and what it blended into, and now it's just dead.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call. We're talking with author D. Watkins, author of The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir, and we're talking about life in inner city Baltimore, but inner city USA for that matter. So D, as you're going through this and you're acquiring things and you're buying things, and then you meet a woman. Mm-hmm. And things started to change a little bit for you, right?
Yeah, because it's she was like one of the first people I met in that time period that just wasn't completely in awe of money being thrown at her, and that was a different thing for me. Mm-hmm. And then, she was young and she had her own ideas, and she didn't really, everything that she brought to me was pure, and it wasn't really about it wasn't about that world. It wasn't about the world. It wasn't about worldly things. It was more or less about empowering myself and seeing different and getting out of Baltimore City. She was hungry to get out of Baltimore City, and if I was going to be around her, then it wasn't going to be in town.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't about going places to blow money, but it was about it was all about going places to explore and just ultimately gain more knowledge of self.
And so it gave you a whole different perspective on things. Did you find it
open my mind all the way up? It cracked my mind wide open because one of the things that saved me from dying is just I was always a curious, inquisitive person. I was a journalist before I knew I was a journalist because I always was looking for an answer and looking to decode things and try to figure things out, and then eager to share these things with other people so that they can have an understanding too. Mm-hmm. So those skills has been, that was just in me since I was a little kid. There's no journalists floating around my neighborhood. There's no actors or writers or professors or, anybody doing anything in the art world really in my neighborhood that was, that could see some skills that some young kids could have and point us in the right direction. So, we thought we just had these ideas just because we had them. We didn't know that, these are the fundamentals for, what could be a great career one day. Mm-hmm. So, I was always curious. I always had questions, and she had questions, and we put our questions together, and we answer them, and we talk about things, and and I've bought her some nice gifts, but
it wasn't about buying
it
her gifts.
wasn't. Yeah, if I didn't buy them, my relationship wouldn't be any different. Like if I didn't buy them, it wouldn't be different. And she didn't praise them and act like she was on some type of pedestal above other people because she had some nice things. Because if it was up to her, we would get backpacks and just explore the world. And she kind of brought into my world a little, but I brought into her world way more than she brought into mine.
Mm-hmm. So was it hard straddling both worlds at one point while you were still in the drug world?
Yeah, because I was kind of like living a double life, and she's not stupid, so she knew something was up, but she knew she liked me a lot, and she knew that her influence would put me on a path to righteousness. Like she saw more in me than what I really saw in myself. Mm. And with that, that gave me the confidence to believe in myself more and to start to push to try to do like more positive things.
So you bought some businesses, you owned a bar, right?
Yeah, I got out the game. Like people always say, well, how'd you walk away? You went too deep, they were going to kill you. And I'm like, brother, there's 97% of people in Baltimore City who are born in poverty, die in poverty. If you step down, there's 1,000 other dudes who want that spot. They don't care about you. Mm-hmm. They want the money, and if they not in a position to crack your head to get it, but you just won't walk away, and they can just like pick up where you left off at, then it's a no-brainer. So I stacked a little bit of money up, and I bought a liquor store. It was. So you know how it is. But it's different everywhere. But in Baltimore, we have a lot of spots. It's like cut rate, it's like a carry out in the front.
Right.
But you get buzzed into the back, and it's like a lounge where you can just sit back and have a drink and meet people and dance and all that. And I tried my arm at that.
And what happened?
It was slow at first, and then I figured out that the money didn't really come from the bar. The money really came from the poker machines. Just like that. I'm right back on the wrong side of the tracks again, and falling right back into materialism and buying things and thinking that success is measured on how big your house is and the car you're driving and things like that. And I was just and I stressed myself out on a whole different level, as stressful as it was when I was really in the street. This was like a different type of stress because at this point, I'm trying to build a life with her. So we're together, we engaged. I'm getting this big house, and she's about to graduate college, so I'm going to buy her a nice car. And the money's not really coming from the business; the money's coming from money I had saved up already prior, and the poker machine, and which could all it's like a house of cards; it can tumble any minute. Mm-hmm. So I had to be honest with her, and I was like, yo, I can't maintain this. Like, I'm going to be, I'm like I'm like 23 or something, and I'm going to be bald. Like, I can't do this. Like, like it's not going to happen. So, she opened up and said, she said that it hurts her that I can't be more open, and I couldn't talk about these things. And we dumped that stuff, and we took a big leap forward.
And took a leap of faith. How much money do you think you made, D, while you were in the business, in the drug business? Do you have any idea?
I don't even know. I don't know. I think the easier question would be how much did I spend?
Okay. All right. Then let's answer that question.
Not that bad at spending, but I made a lot of money. I wasn't, but I wasn't nowhere near like one of the big people. Like I wasn't even close to like some of the big people in the city. Like I wasn't a millionaire or anything like that. But I made a bunch of cash, and then it was also a weird time because the housing market was letting anybody get approved for anything. So I'm not even like I'm like early 20s, maybe like 22. Getting approved for a house that's $600,000, like, and I never had a job, so it was like, it was crazy. It's like, I got options, like, we can give you paperwork, you can do a no-doc loan, all you need is like,
wow.
All you need is like a permit, an ID, you could just walk in here, and it was, but it was just different types of criminals doing crime in a different way.
Good gracious. So you didn't even have a job. That's true. That's very true too, because you never had a job, but you were able to buy a house and actually buy a business without being able to show how you actually got your money, right?
Yeah. My first job was like but like when I got out the game and I was trying to like build some credit, I had tried to work at that dialysis unit. I used to hang around that, and I wasn't cut out for that. I thought I can come in and be like a tech or something, and people around the clinic knew me, and they thought I was cool, and I couldn't really do that. And then I had after I sold the bar, I did like a couple of days there, and I was like, nah, that's not me. So I opened up a tag and title shop, and which is like a motor vehicles express. And I ran that for a while I got in school and tried to hurry up and finish and try to get into a career because I still was confused. I knew I wanted to teach and I was going to work hard to get there. And like my first job was like an adjunct professor, but I'm the type of person where I get into a system and I figure out a way to twist it and manipulate it to make it work for me. So you're supposed to adjunct like 2 classes at a school, and I'm adjuncting at 3 and 4 different schools, doing like 3 classes at a time. And it's
to
like,
hurry up and get where you want to be.
Yeah, and if you're a person, if you need to sleep and you don't know how to stretch money and you don't know how to survive, then a regular person wouldn't be able to live off that. But I figured it out.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we're talking with D. Watkins, author of The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir. So a couple questions for you then. First of all, in terms of what you see today with people, young people, because you actually still live in East Baltimore, right? So you never left the neighborhood.
No, I just turned down a big opportunity, so I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, so you're staying in East Baltimore. Are you working with young folks to try to keep them from going down the path you went?
Absolutely. I've pulled so many people off the corner, it's ridiculous. But what I'm doing is, I visited like 165 high schools last year. I'm in both of my books are in almost every high school in Baltimore City without even a big push from the administration here. It's just teachers. The students are coming to the teacher saying, look, we want to read this. He has a book that talks about white supremacy, and this is my other book. Mm-hmm. He has a book that talks about white supremacy and systemic racism in the Black experience and street harassment and empowering yourself and the power of reading and how it transforms. And, and it's funny and it's catchy and it's good. We want to read this. So, teachers are catching on. And, and I've figured out, so we've donated over 2,000 copies of my first book to schools, not just in Baltimore, but a lot in the Baltimore and D.C. area.
Tell us the name of that first book.
The B-side, Living and Dying While Black in America.
Okay.
So so we put work in with that, and then I also I started an organization called the Baltimore Writers Project, where I'm training up young journalists in high school, and I'm actually paying them for the stories they contribute to the site.
Wow!
So they're getting the opportunity to learn how to tell stories, to learn how to interview, to learn how to do camera work and all that. But they get a check every time they publish something. So right now I'm only working with like 5 students, and but we're going to try to raise money so I can blow it up a little bit more this year. Mm-hmm. School year has just started, and I'm a little behind on fundraising, but it's just time to get the ball rolling. So
for the Be More Project, do you have to live in Baltimore? How do you find the students? How does that work?
Well, right now these students they were all affiliated with other programs called Viewfinders. And Viewfinders already had a space. Mm-hmm. They already had some students with some experience working cameras, but all of the students they live in the neighborhood. So in the neighborhood where I come from, that wasn't like a requirement. Mm-hmm. But it was an easy way for me to get it up and running. So right now it's a Baltimore thing. I would like for it to stretch out to different places, but I don't have like a big foundation behind me. Like I'm a one-man show.
Got you. And now you're teaching at University of Baltimore also, right?
Yeah, I teach creative writing at University of Baltimore, and every other semester I'm teaching a class at Johns Hopkins University, but not writing. It's in a school of education. Mm-hmm. To mostly master's and PhD students, and it's called Context for the Urban Child. So, I'm just talking about like social context and trying to create opportunities for educators to understand the students in the neighborhoods that they're going to be working with.
That they're teaching in. So it broke my heart when with the Freddie Gray situation, and me being here in Norfolk and talking with my family that's still in Baltimore and West Baltimore, and what was going on. And then so there's all this mayhem and uprising in the streets and so forth. And then when none of the officers were held responsible for what happened to Freddie Gray, nationally we didn't see a whole lot of action. What's going on in the streets right now around that situation?
The clown show who, showed up to town and they wanted to be like so-called activists and all that, they out of town. They gone to the next tragedy, just like the media. And those of us who've been working to keep situations like Freddie Gray from happening, we're still out here doing work. Mm-hmm. We're still doing work. It's not the pretty work and what they call the sexy work that gets everybody all excited. It's the real work. Brothers in policy and some brothers are doing sports and some sisters are doing things with policy and with talking about food deserts and talking about nutrition and talking about financial literacy and there's a lot of different people. My thing is writing and reading and writing and donating books. And it's another brother who does photography and donating cameras and teaching skills. And we're just out here doing work. The cops are still racist. The cops are still disconnected, and there's still a lot of them are still disgusting and evil. There's a couple of cops who are trying to get out there and push for police reform, but they're the minority. The bulk of them are already subscribed to a culture of hate, so it's not really a lot that we could do about that on our front, but that still doesn't exempt us from doing the work and working with people.
Mm-hmm. So from your perspective and all the things that you've experienced, Dee, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you?
For me, Black Lives Matter is just it's a cry for help. It's the opportunity, to uplift the veil on a lot of things that exist in this country that a lot of people just don't understand. And they don't understand because, one, they don't have proximity to the issues. Two, the media creates this narrative of equality and justice for all, and everybody's out here sharing the same experience, and it's just not true. Mm-hmm. You see this guy, Brock Turner, the rapist from Stanford, he just came out of jail today. He raped somebody, and, he did under 3 months of a 6-month sentence. And, he's free to rape again. Like, he's out here. It's just proof that we go through two different justice systems out here. And, Black Lives Matter. Like, we're out here, and people don't see us. And, me personally, I don't yell or shout Black Lives Matter because I feel like if you don't know right now, then you're never going to know. But I support the movement, and I support everybody in the movement. And I've written articles and done things for people who are surrounded or to work directly with the movement. But, I work with kids, and, I want our Black kids to be readers so that they can be critical thinkers, so they cannot be in some of the situations that occur.
So, you hear a lot, people say, well, if kids in the inner city need role models, they need mentors. But I wonder, because you're working with them definitely on a one-on-one basis, is that truly the answer? And do we, as African Americans, have a responsibility, those of us who are not living in the hood right now, to go back and actually do the hard work like you and some of the other folks that you've just talked about are doing?
So, I would say no, it's a personal journey. I'll never tell people to do with their time or their energy. And, if you get out there and tell people, you need to give back, and that's not in that person's heart. Mm-hmm. And that's not what they want to do. Or if it's something that they don't get joy from or that they feel like they can't do, then, they would just be in the way. Now, I would like to think that, people will want to do it. Like, I would like to think that more of us were in the tradition of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was free. She went back and got people.
Yes.
Frederick Douglass was free. He went back and he fought, So I would like to think that we would live in that tradition of lifting as we climb and pulling our brothers and sisters up. But I know that's not for everybody. I still know people to this day. Like, I know people who walk around bragging, I'm the only black person at something university for tenure. I'm the only this, I'm the only that. And I'm like, yo, you think that's cute? Like, put somebody on, man. Like, create an opportunity for another black person. Or just, shut up,
I'm chuckling because I know a lot of people. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's another component of what I do. It's like I publish these places, but I got a lot of young black journalists published, men and women, in places like Salon.com, in places like the Baltimore Sun, and places like somebody's working on something for ESPN right now. Like, I passed the rock. Like, it's not just about me and my story, but it's a bunch of other people out there that need to have their stories heard too. And we gotta work hard to get them out there, because I know when I was coming up in the publishing world, with all the black writers that come from Baltimore, a lot of them, they're not really. I didn't have the luxury of getting any type of help or assistance or anything from any of them. Like, so. I'm working hard to create that culture. If you talk to these up-and-coming black writers in Baltimore and you ask them about me, they are going to say, oh, he helped me get an agent. Oh, he helped me get published. Oh, he helped me put a book portfolio together. Oh, he tore apart my first 30 drafts, but then when we got it right, I got published. Like, they're going to tell you. Like, they're already going to tell you what time it is. They're not even going to fight their tongue. Because I'm accessible to them, and, I care about their careers, and I understand that it's not just me. It's about all of us coming up. Then we can have a real team of people who doing great things.
What would you tell people who truly, if there was one thing you could tell a person who has never experienced inner city life, what would you tell them to help them to understand what it's about? Because I think a lot of times pure ignorance makes people react to things.
This is not even a shameless plug. I would tell them to read the B-side. To read the B-side. It talks about policy. It talks about education. It puts all of these issues that exist within the inner city into a historical context in a language that is accessible enough to seventh graders in Baltimore City because they read it, but interesting and creative enough for sociology students at Harvard University because they read it too. Okay. It gives you the proximity to the issues and analysis for you to create your own way to move beyond or to participate or to help or to share whatever skills you have with people in messed up situations.
Mm-hmm. So can you give us just one nugget from the B-side?
Yeah. Ethiopian proverb that goes, when spiders unite, they can tie down a lion. There's a lot of gems in there like that. This talks about skill sharing and, how we can help each other pull ourselves up out of the mess that we're in. And, how you're dealing with the government, regardless of what your stance is, nothing is ever going to trickle down to us. Obama can create a zillion jobs, yet unemployment can still find a way to go down. The rise in the black community. And this is how systemic racism works, because when those funds are allocated to those places, they put in their white friends and exclude the black and brown people who are supposed to be directly benefiting from it. So it kind of puts all of these things in context.
Okay. So,
if a kid's saying, why does my school have, look like this? Instead of me saying, a lot of the answers that people normally say, I'd start and talk about how white people had a 245-year head start when it comes to public school, and I just break down the supplies and the money and, tax base and how these things work and how they directly affect places with people of color.
So it's really addressing the systemic racism that still exists in this country.
But it's first person narrative, so I'm taking little pieces of my life, and I'm just storytelling, but I'm just showing how these stories connect to the bigger picture.
Gotcha. We have a question from our Facebook page, and they person wants to know if you had any apprehension about telling your story in the cook-up, and were you concerned about the legal consequences from admitting to being in the drug trade?
Well, I had lawyers that told me about the things that you're allowed to say and what you aren't allowed to say. So the crimes I committed, I'm clean because the statute of limitations is up. Like, I've never hurt anybody physically with guns and all that or anything like that. So I'm clear for that.
Oh, well, that's good. So what happened to Troy and Tyler, Nick, Herc, the friends that were around you? Do you still see them? Do you interact with them at all?
So Herc has passed away. Nick is dead too, as you know.
Yeah.
In the book, Dog Boy's in prison. And me and Tony, whose real name is Stacy, we're still together.
Still together. So did they know that you were special? Or do you think of yourself as being special?
No, I think I don't think I'm special. I think that, like, I don't think I was the sharpest or the smartest or the funniest or the handsomest kid during that time. I just think that I luckily was just curious about other people's lives and other worlds and how other things operated, and that kind of saved me. But I don't think I was. I think I think I can go in any of these neighborhoods and find a group of kids and transform all of them into successful people, whether their love is business or art or education. Like, I think if I get the opportunity to talk to them and build with them and plug them with the right type of mentors who can help them achieve their dreams, because it's not always me, sometimes it's other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can help them, or I think there's people out there who can help these young people become successful. Like, you're the host of a radio show. I never knew a host of a radio show coming up, so for me that wasn't an option.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, now that I'm on the radio all the time, I can, tell a young woman, like, yo, you should listen to this show, and then maybe you could come through and you guys could have a conversation or talk. Maybe she might want to grow up and be a radio host too. I just think that there's no, it's something about just seeing, it's like what's the theory of concept? When you see it, you can actually achieve it, but people don't really see it.
It's interesting because I do a lot of the same things that you do in the community, reaching out and mentoring young folks, and have done that through media, particularly television news. And I agree with you. It's an opportunity once you show someone the fact that they could possibly be in a profession, whatever that profession is, that it makes a big difference. Because if you don't see it on a day-to-day basis, it's really not in the front of your consciousness.
Yeah, and it just goes into with that whole power of suggestion, right? You keep telling somebody that they can only be certain things, it happens to them. Mm-hmm. But if you show people they can go far and beyond, then they get the courage to be hungry and to take those shots to try to get there.
Okay, so if you are talking to a young person who's in the drug trade right now, or who may be like you were thinking, I just don't quite feel right, this really shouldn't be what I'm doing, encourage them to get out.
Well, what I say to them?
Uh-huh. What would you say to them?
I would say to them that there's only one thing can come from this, and it's death. You're going to die. Either somebody's going to kill you, and you'll be dead. You'll go to jail, which is like being dead. When you come home from jail and you're trying to reassimilate, it's going to be rough on you, and it might make you feel like you're not a citizen, because you won't be able to participate in some of the things that everybody else gets to do. Or if you tell on somebody to save yourself, then to the people you love and care about, you're going to be dead. So it's no win.
Yeah,
I can't put money in your hand, and I can't put you in a position to actually make money all of the time. But at the same time, it's your life, and what can we do, or what can you do to save it?
Mm-hmm.
But it's no wins. Like, a lot of times to me that they sell this story, or this Jay-Z-esque story where, you get to sell drugs and make money and then be a best-selling rapper and a platinum-selling rapper and get Beyonce. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. The rule is a casket.
Yeah.
The rule is a casket. So if you're okay with that, then move forward. But if not, and I suggest you take some of those skills and try to apply them to something different.
Okay. And now let's go to the other end. So somebody who is out, but could make a difference. What would you tell them that they need to do?
Share that story. Don't just talk about how you made money back in the day. Talk about how you got those guns put in your face back in the day. Talk about those shorts you took back in the day. Talk about how the novelty wears off of those nice things. Talk about all the ills that come with the game. Tell the whole story. Just don't talk about the flash. Talk about the pain. Talk about giving your homeboy mother some drugs so she don't got to go out and perform oral sex for him. Like, talk about the pain. Talk about kids that are drug addicts crying because they can't find their parents and they're hungry and they're shoeless and their video games are stolen. Like, tell the whole story. You got to tell the ugly part, too. People always tell them the heavens, but they never really talk about the hells. And the hells really, really need to be talked about because a lot of people, they just, they're being told lies.
Okay, tell us again how people would reach you if they wanted to help you with the Be More Project. Be More Writers Project.
You can just email me at my email address is d@d-watkins.com. Or you can just hit me up at dwatkinsworld on social media.
Okay. And though that could be for anyone, but you're also particularly looking for students in the Baltimore area?
Yeah, I'm looking for students in the Baltimore area, and then I'm also working on funding because, again, I'm not having these students out here working and them not being paid. You know,
Gotcha.
I want every student I work with to get into the culture of being paid for their artwork.
Okay. We got about a minute left, and one other question that came through, someone who read your book, they want to know, have you talk real quickly about how the gentleman that was in dialysis, how that changed your life.
So he changed my life. He changed my life because he saw things in me. He's another person who saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And he also was like the first cool old person that I ever met. You know, because he was an elderly man, but he was smooth and he was funny and he still had a hunger for life, even though he was on his way out. And with him, he's the guy that taught me that when your mouth is open, your ears are closed. You have to be quiet and you got to listen to your elders because they paved the way, and without them, you wouldn't be here. And he gave me an opportunity to learn from his mistakes. You know, he got into the game and he was in the game and he felt like he stayed in the game because he got into the money, but he was telling me, you shouldn't do that because I took that trip and it wasn't a pretty trip. And right now, I'm on my final days, and I feel ugly about some of the decisions that I made. But you still got a chance to not make those decisions.
And that was wonderful advice he gave to you. D. Watkins, author of The Cook-Up, a crack rock memoir. Thank you so much for joining us today on Another View, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Essie Patha-Murkerson from Law and Order. You are listening to Another View at 89.5 WHRV.
And welcome back. A few weeks ago, our Lisa Godley told us how the Virginia Stage Company was going to use art as a catalyst to encourage conversations about race and racial boundaries. They called it The Line, Art for Social Change. In her follow-up report, Lisa shares with us the interactive workshop that drew people of all ages, races, and ethnicities to the Slover Library, challenging them to come out of their comfort zones and cross lines both in thought and action, in an effort to make their communities and our region a more inclusive place to live.
Lyle, he's issuing a warrant for your arrest.
He's going to arrest me? You mean he believes I killed that boy?
Somebody killed the boy. Somebody put 2 slugs in his belly.
I swear, I don't know what's come over the folks in this town.
That boy had been white. It would look very, very bad. You're behind me in the jailhouse now.
You just heard part of a scene from James Baldwin's play, Blues for Mr. Charlie. In it, you'll hear store owner Lyle Britton use the N-word with no regrets. As uncomfortable as that is for most audiences to hear, Blues for Mr. Charlie digs much deeper than racial slurs. It looks at the boundaries established during segregation and how that impacted lives. Black lives in particular.
I've been dreaming about my mama falling down those steps of that hotel. My mama, I never believed she fell. I always believed that some white man pushed her down those steps. And my daddy, he wasn't there. He didn't know. He couldn't say nothing. He couldn't do nothing. I never forget the way he looked. Whipped.
She fell, Richard. She fell. The stairs were wet and slippery, and she fell.
My mother fell down the steps of that damn white hotel. My mother was pushed.
Organizers of The Line, Kate Martin and Tommy Coleman, selected vignettes from Blues for Mr. Charlie to set the stage for conversations about race and racial boundaries. Tommy says they wanted the interactive workshops to be a safe place for open and honest dialogue. One conversation centered on how we as individuals react when a stranger enters our neighborhood.
In my discussion group, somebody said, well, we usually say, in my neighborhood, and he had a bit more money than I do. I can tell you that much. I'm a starving artist, so I don't have that much money. No, but he's definitely of upper echelon. And he said, well, we usually ask, do you need help with that?
Interesting.
You lost? Are you lost as one?
With that?
It's not even like a genuine, like, I'm going to help you, but it's like, do you need help? Can I get you out of here?
While several excerpts from the play show blatant racism in the 1960 Jim Crow South, workshop participants were very interested in discussing more subtle things they see and hear in 2016. Kate Martin shares one woman's example of a code word.
She said, I think we say thug because we can't say the N-word on CNN. That's exactly it. And I think, again, that's just really showing that we are not working with a population of people that A, are not passionate, or B, are not educated about this.
So red light phrases are things, words and things that shouldn't be used or make people very uncomfortable. Yellow light is sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. And green light is what is a preferred term.
Racist got put in the yellow column. That to me was very fascinating because it shows that we are ready as a community to talk about this. Putting racist in the yellow column just really shows that there is a need to talk and a need to suss things out and a desire to think about these issues in a more complex way.
In addition to the play, the workshop incorporated a mini history lesson on how the government used redlining to segregate neighborhoods, leaving the racial makeup of today very similar to the way they looked almost 90 years ago.
From the 1930s to the 1950s, the Federal Housing Administration financed developers of large-scale suburban subdivisions all over the country. The FHA subsidized loans to developers on the condition that the houses in the subdivisions would not be sold to African Americans. This landscape of segregation perpetuates, long after its creation, significant economic disparity.
At the end of the 90-minute session, the group was encouraged to continue their conversation beyond the walls of the Slover Library, taking what they learned, observed, and shared back to their communities. For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
And that's our show for today. Remember, you can always listen to this show or any Another View podcast by downloading the WHRO Media app. It's free and available for iPhone and Android platforms. And we'd love to hear from you on social media, so like us on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at Barbara Ham Lee. Next week, the Another View Roundtable joins us to talk about the presidential race and other pressing issues of the day. And I also want to remind you that the Village Family Back to School Supply Giveaway is happening on September the 10th. That's from 1 to 5 p.m. It's at Military Circle Mall. And this is being put on by the Village Family. VillageFamilyOutreach.net is their email address. So their website. So you can go there to find out more information. But it's free and open to everyone, and they are giving away backpacks and school supplies. So if you still need some help with that, September the 10th, Military Circle Mall, 1 to 5 p.m. Our theme music was composed and performed by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Victor Bowen is our audio engineer, and Nicholas Thomas answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Have a great Labor Day weekend holiday. Please stay safe. Please stay dry. And let's get together again next Friday at noon for Another View.